Bonus basketball, baby. Yeah, we had some bonus basketball in Cleveland on the first night of a back-to-back. But you know what? Ultimately, Matthew, Suns win. So who cares, right? Or should we care?
After that overtime, this whole game, everything that, I was so frustrated about, I'm sure everyone was upset tonight, but it was well worth it, right? This overtime was like the best I've ever seen Mikal play, of course, but a dominant performance in OT, just to show the Cavs, we might be practicing for the playoffs. We might be putting ourselves in these situations that way. That's the only thing that makes sense to me, right? That's the only reason this is happening, because there's no other reason, right?
Basketball is the reason. Everybody always forgets that even though you're playing a team like the Cavaliers, even though you're playing a team like the Oklahoma City Thunder, these are professional basketball teams. We were those teams for the past 10 years that when the big, bad number one seed came to town, we would be pesky and we would fight. And ultimately, we would be the team that would lose by 16 in overtime. So we know what that feels like on that side of the coin. And now we're viewing it through a different lens. We're watching it as the number one seed and going through the emotional highs and lows that a game like this provides. I mean, Devin Booker makes an amazing bank shot. He's the hero. Clutch Booker. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. And then he gets triple teamed and throws up a shot at the end of regulation. And you're like, what the fuck are you doing, Booker? I mean, so it's just like just going up and down, and then overtime happens. So, I mean, it's just like, ultimately the Suns win the game. The Suns are now 22-9 on the road. The Suns are now, 46-18? Is that 47-18? I mean,
yeah, something like that.
It's another win. It's 48. Another win.
But I can't wait to find out who you're really yelling at in that room. And if they're just so frantic and frazzled over there in the corner, I feel like they're just like shriveled up to nothing.
Sorry, Brooklyn. Poor dog's looking at me like, why do you keep yelling? No, there's no one Brooklyn. In here.
Oh, okay.
My dog's like, what are you doing? Why are you yelling? I'm going for Brooklyn's just looking like a dog does. But welcome to all the Jamsters who are joining us on the Suns Jam Session podcast. Another victory for the Phoenix Suns. So although we will break it down on this podcast, nothing to fret, nothing to worry about. We're coming out of this one happy and healthy with a W. But we will break it down because that's what we do after every game here on the Suns Jam Session podcast. If you're watching along live on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter, we truly appreciate it. If you happen to be on the YouTube channel, go ahead and smash the thumbs up button and subscribe to the podcast as well. You can become an elite Jamster simply by clicking the join button below or following the link that we have provided in the description. Feel free to donate to the show via the super chat so Matthew can use a beard comb. He's going to be growing out his playoff beard. See, there it is. There it is.
Booker beard coming. Look at
we got to get this guy a comb. We got to get the Booker
get that comb.
Beard comb for Matthew. So if you want
I asked at work a while ago, I needed a comb for my mustache, but no mustache this time, dude. Just the Booker beard.
Just the Booker beard. I dig it. But if you want to donate in the chat via the super chat, go for it. Matthew could definitely use it. If you are listening on the Bright Side of the Sun podcast network, please subscribe, rate, and review. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, leave us a 5-star review and a comment. We'll read it right here on the podcast. You can email the show, sunsjamsession@gmail.com. And that is all the housekeeping notes and all the promo little stuff that I'm going to do. So on that note, I think it's definitely well warranted. We have earned an alcoholic beverage of some point on this. What day of the week is it? Wednesday?
Sure.
Tuesday. It's Tuesday.
Suns have 48 wins. Today's Wednesday. Who cares?
There you go. Well,
yeah. What do you got, John?
Roy in the chat is like, I thought we were going to buy Matthew some Jordans. I actually got some
never had a pair. Look at those Jordans in the corner, though.
I got those 11s back there. Yeah, I'm yelling at my pair of Jordans.
Okay.
So here's what I'm drinking today. Okay, so shout out to Terry, my rep from Southern Wine and Spirits. The Finnish Long Drink. It's a unique taste of natural grapefruit juniper flavors with gin. So it's citrus and gin, and kind of like this is going to be an interesting one.
All right.
So
well, let us know.
Let's crack this baby open. I mean, it sounds crisp, right? It sounds like it should be good. Let's give it a sip-ski.
Cheers.
That's actually really good, man.
Is it?
Ooh, that's good.
Let me try it. Hold on. Oh, wait, I went the wrong way. There you go.
here you go, Matthew.
Thank you, John.
All right, Jamsters. Let's talk about this victory over the Cleveland Cavaliers. It's the first game of a back-to-back that begins in Cleveland and ends against the Atlanta Hawks tomorrow night. So obviously, you don't want to go to overtime necessarily. You don't want to tax your players and provide them long minutes. You kind of want to see a bench game. And what happens to the Phoenix Suns? They're taken to the limit. They have to go an extra quarter, some bonus basketball in an effort to beat the Cleveland Cavaliers, but they do so in a very impressive fashion and ultimately win by 16 points. Suns 134, Cavs 118. And this is the first time the Phoenix Suns have won in Cleveland since January 26, 2014.
Yes.
Matthew, when we hit the overtime period, where were you emotionally?
Do you really want to know?
Yes.
All right. I was throwing out the B word once in a while.
Oh.
I was getting crazy here in the Lissy household. I was seriously, I was by the TV, standing up nice and close, and I was wondering, why is Devin Booker running to the corner, sworn by all the Cavs players to shoot he does that sometimes. So it will frustrate you. And I didn't want this for the Suns, and I'm sure they didn't want it. Chris Paul looked like he didn't want this overtime. When they went to commercial break before overtime, he's like, oh, come on. He's the waiter, right? He's like, how many more ranches do you need? This is exactly the way he felt tonight going into overtime. But luckily we had Mikal Bridges to step up. But I felt going into that overtime, I didn't know what to expect. I've never seen the Suns play an overtime like this, to where they were so dominant, especially one player like Mikal Bridges. And I was like, if we lose this game, fine, I guess. But then we have to play the Hawks tomorrow. So it's like, they shouldn't be in this situation, but it doesn't matter, because a lot of teams that play the overtime, or they'll play a long game, long, hard-fought game the night before a back-to-back, usually come out the next game and can still play. They're not going to be so tired. They won't be cramping up like a Coro. I think they'll be okay tomorrow.
Yeah, obviously you don't want to lose the first game of a back-to-back, because then it puts more pressure on the team going into night 2 of the back-to-back. And the Suns have a good history thus far this season in the back-to-backs. So I've now said back-to-back a total of 4 times.
Back-to-back times.
Back-to-back times, I say the back-to-back. But they have a really good record, and it's because they do a good job shoring up the first game. But I'm with you, and I'm with a lot of the Jamsters who are joining us. We have King Paw 242. He says he refuses to pass to the open man. It's frustrating. And as that play was developing, they threw, and I love this, because we're going to pretty much start at the end of the game, and then we're going to kind of navigate ourselves through the game and talk
how much
about
have you watched? Just really quick. Did you watch the whole game?
Of course.
Oh, okay. Because I didn't
possession.
get to watch the whole thing, so I just wanted to make sure. Okay.
No, I watched every possession, got off a little bit early, cool. Came home from work and watched every possession. But the final possession of regulation, Booker starts off, it's 24.9 seconds on the shot clock, so he's got 24.0 seconds to get a shot off, and it's going to be Booker. They start to throw the double at him, and he actually passes out of it and gives it to Chris Paul. And I literally out loud, I'm like, yes. That's what I want to see. I want to see Chris Paul with the ball in his hands, because I just feel like he can do so much more, and it's less one-dimensional than it is with Devin Booker. You saw it because Devin Booker went to the right, kept going to the right, and just kept picking up defenders along the way. He's like, all right, one guy's on me. Now 2 guys. Fuck it, let's
to
go
the corner
3.
of the end zone.
To the corner of the end zone, shoots it, and shoots a wild shot. We've seen that shot multiple times. We've seen it in person. He's done it where he just kind of goes into that 3-point corner, takes 17 defenders with him, and shoots up a rainbow that ultimately misses. And as midway through that possession, I was like, sweet, man. CP3 has the ball. This is what we want. He can generate something else. So again, I don't fault Devin Booker. It's a tied game. This wasn't a game in which he was truly trying to win it. Or the consequence would have been so heavy that if he had missed it, we would have lost it. But it was frustrating. And then as overtime began, I was with you. When you give a team like the Cleveland Cavaliers, a team that truly kind of has no business being in the game. I mean, let's be real. I think, forgive me, Dave King wrote the preview today for Bright Side of the Sun, and he said something along the effects of Suns by 20. It's the way it should have been. But when you give young players an opportunity to find their rhythm, to navigate the offense the way that allows them to put points on the board and develop confidence, when you hit an overtime game against those teams, you should be right to be scared.
Yeah, I mean, we all have the opportunity to really be scared in a lot of these situations, because this is the same exact way we play all these teams, right? Mm-hmm. We get up by 10, and it's like, okay, we might take it over. The Suns might go, how's that beer? Looking good? Tasting good?
It's not a beer. Good? It's like a gin drink with grapefruit and citrus.
Oh,
and
I think the gin,
it's freaking delicious. The
I think
finished long drink is the name of this thing. It is fantastic.
the Jamsters, I think, remember the story of me and gin. So
Yeah,
maybe I
don't
shouldn't
take
drink that
shots of
stuff.
gin.
Don't take shots of gin. All
Like,
right.
yo, I want a Bombay Sapphire. Yeah, no, neat. Just I'm going to shoot it.
You might end up in jail. Anyways, what were we talking about? Yeah, so the Suns go up by 10. It's right? Like the Suns play this kind of game always against these kind of teams where they go up by 10 and you think, okay, they're pulling away, and then they don't. But it's just because I don't know if it's the effort, really. I think it's these teams. EJ always says it. He's like, you can't let them in the game early in the first 3 quarters, but even like the first half, if you let this team think that they have a chance, and they had those 2 young guys going off on Okoro and Sexton, they're going to continue to be hot, I feel like, and especially playing a bigger team. They want to be talked about the next day. He actually said that too, so I'm copying everything EJ said and just putting it on this podcast. but it's totally true, man. This is why he's my stepdad. This is why I love this man, because he speaks what I think. And honestly, that's what they wanted. They wanted to be talked about the next day, beating the big-time Suns. Suns are now the number 1 seed. And you want to go at them, and you want a chance, and that was their chance. The Suns played with them like a cat would with a mouse, but then just couldn't finish a job. And I think that this is kind of cool to watch in a way. Towards the end, of course, I'm frustrated, but the ending only sucked because of that 3-pointer. But then I was kind of like, I want to see the Suns in these situations and see what they do. And I think a long time ago, we talked about, I wrote a piece about Mikal being that third option offensively. I mean, you saw it in overtime, but how consistent can he be that man? How consistent can he be to have the ball in his hand? Defensively, we know it's there. He was frustrated. He didn't want Okoro to score the last bucket that gave him a cramp, but then he did. And Mikal came back vicious, and he didn't want that to happen again. So I think he kind of showed that he's a third guy, but it depends how consistent he's going to be and how often you're going to see this from Mikal. And it might be something that we see in the future even more, because that was a ridiculous game by him. So it's kind of cool, dude, to win in overtime, because we got to see some history, right? This is some history in the making with the Suns.
Some bonus Mikal coverage tonight. And you're right. He potentially could be the third option one day on this team. You want it to be DA, but DA, we've kind of shown throughout the season we don't need him to be. If we put enough offensive firepower around him, he can focus on the defensive end, rebounding and having an opportunity to try to navigate the game and own it on that end of the floor. And you saw it with Mikal. I mean, a fantastic overtime performance. Tree Nugs 117 in the chat. Shout out, hit us up on the super chat. Gave us $7.77. 777.
Yeah,
he said Suns came into OT and said, "Do you feel lucky, punk?" Well, do ya? It's one of my favorite movies, man.
One of the best movies. I thought it was one you can watch with like your mom, maybe your mom, but like my mom, you can't watch that one.
No, man. It's Clint Eastwood going around chasing some guy who's essentially like a pedophile.
That's the cowboy one, right?
Trying to blow. No. It's Dirty Harry.
Oh, I thought Dirty Harry was the one where he was in the Western town. Okay. I mean, there's a lot of Westerns.
A lot of Westerns with Clint Eastwood. The Outlaw Josie Wales is probably my favorite. Good, Bad, and the Ugly.
That's what I was thinking of. Yeah.
But no, it's Dirty Harry. Do you feel lucky, punk? I know. And all this excitement. Did I shoot 5 or did I shoot 6? And, anyways. But Mikal Bridges, I wrote down his possessions in OT. Block, 3, dunk, block, assist. That was to Cam Johnson, who finally came alive in the overtime.
What a sweet assist, too, man.
Force turnover, 3. I mean, all of a sudden, boom, there was Mikal Bridges. And, let's praise Mikal. He was having a very interesting game up to that point. He had like 2 or 3 times where he drove and had a wide open layup and would pass it out to the 3-point line.
Yes.
And I didn't understand why. And he wasn't the only one. Javon Carter did it. CP3 did it. Now, CP3 is the only one who passed out, and the guy actually hit the 3, hit it to Torrey Craig, and Torrey Craig drained it. But I'm like, what's going on with Mikal? And on the other side of the ball, you look at the numbers put up by Colin Sexton and Isaac Okoro. Isaac Okoro had 32 points. Sexton had 29. A lot of those points came on Mikal Bridges, because what does Mikal Bridges have a hard time? It's those quick, shifty guards. And you couple the fact that both of these guys are also physical down on the block. So when he would catch up with them, it didn't matter. They could bump him off just a little bit and get those teardrops to fall. And in overtime, he completely changed. I don't know what happened in between the break from the fourth quarter to overtime, but Mikal Bridges, I mean, he must have had some of Chris Paul's secret stuff, man, because he completely morphed and changed.
Yeah, he was pissed after that. What happened to him on that shot? But then I think Okoro's cramp hurt Okoro. I mean, honestly, Okoro couldn't be stopped by anybody in the paint. His floaters were going over everybody. He's getting to the rim at will. But I think it was his. Luckily, I know it's weird to say a rookie got a cramp and we can win the game. But I think kind of that had a lot to do with it. But Mikal, the whole passing out to the 3-point that drove me absolutely insane. I was like, just lay it up. They were wide open layups by the rim. And they kept passing it out. And I think a few passes by Mikal to Cam Johnson. I think the whole thing there is, hey, let's get Cam Johnson going. Like, hit a 3, get back in the game. And like Cam Johnson took the ball to the rim a lot in this game, more than usual. And he's trying to learn how to finish at the rim. That one foul that should have been by Kevin Love. What?
I'm just saying, like, he finished at the rim. That reverse dunk he had in overtime.
Yes.
Like,
I was getting to that one.
Okay, get to it.
That was insane. That just was the cherry on the sundae, right? That one was, forget what I was going to say. Who cares? That reverse dunk, I don't even know what to think after that, man. Because we've seen that dunk over JaVale McGee, which is his highlight of his career. But that one is absolutely the highlight of his career. I don't even know. He got to the rim.
Jared Allen. Like, damn, son.
That's the one guy you don't think you can dunk on, right? In the NBA is Jared Allen, defensively one of the best centers in the league, and he did it. I know that team is probably tired. The Cavs probably haven't fought that hard in a while in a game, so that probably had something to do with just the breakdown of the Cavs in the overtime. But that dunk absolutely was great, and what Mikal was trying to do was maybe get Cam Johnson just the ball a little bit more, get him more involved and shoot the 3, but he was getting to the rim, and I was saying that Kevin Love, that should have been a foul. But then I guess he should have put his body more into Kevin Love, EJ said. And it's true. Him and DeAndre Ayton will get used to that and work on that down on the post to draw those fouls. But just that reverse dunk, dude, that was play of the game by far.
So here's the interesting thing about Cam Johnson, okay? So I'm sitting there and I'm watching the beginning of the game with my wife, and she's just like, hey, that guy's got sleeves on. Why does he have sleeves on? Ugh. And I'm like, yeah, it's something I don't think about anymore because I watch the Suns every night, and it was one of the first questions we had when he was a rookie. He's like, always with the sleeves. And then she goes, do you think he's self-conscious about his arms? I go, maybe he is. And then I start thinking, I'm like, well, maybe I wonder if his sleeves are affecting his shooting, because now he's like, he's a little bit bigger now. He's not the skinny rookie that he was. It's a little too tight for him. So maybe it's one of the reasons that as of late, Cameron Johnson hasn't been having a stellar performance relative to 3-point. You look at tonight, 1 for 6 again from 3, and you look at his last few games. Okay, from 3, 2 for 6 against Oklahoma City Thunder, 1 for 6 against the Utah Jazz, 0 for 6 against the Los Angeles Clippers, 3 for 11 against the New York Knicks, 1 for 5 against the Brooklyn Nets, 0 for 6 against the Boston Celtics, 3 for 9 against Philly, 3 for 6 was his last good performance, and that was against the Bucks. But if you go from the Philly game to his last game, the last 7 games, not including tonight, he's shooting 20% from 3, and then you take into account he made 1 3 tonight. Now, granted, that 3 was in overtime, and it was off a pass from Mikal Bridges. So I don't know if there's anything to the whole sleeves theory, but maybe, Cam, just maybe, we can have you outgrow them. Take them off. You look last season, he shot 39% from 3 and 67% of his shots were from deep. This season, he's shooting 35.9% and 69%. So it's his efficiency's dropped while his volume has gone up.
I like
sleeves, Cam. I think we need to start a hashtag like hashtag ditch the sleeves or something.
Yeah, because you're looking at it and you're like, what's wrong? Like you just like, what's wrong? Like, and then just rip his sleeves off. Like I honestly,
you're just a bit of a beard to stroke when you do that. I saw that move. You're
I do not. Actually, I don't. It looks better on this lighting, but it looks bad in real life. Don't ever see me in real life. So when I was younger, insecurity of the arms, that was me. With the jerseys, I always wore a shirt underneath. And that's what I always thought with basketball players in college. I'm like, there has to be something, right? Because they all wear the short sleeve shirts underneath their jerseys. And I don't understand it. I mean, I'll come on this pod. I've worn the tank top twice. I've gotten over the insecurity. I mean, as an insecure little boy that I got over it. And I honestly, now I can wear a short sleeve shirt, or I'm sorry, a tank top on the podcast, which is great. So maybe this is something that he can look into, man. Because honestly, it just really quick. But it's actually a really good thought. I think it might be something there. But his shooting, for some reason, I think every Suns player, at least one of them, will go through a slump. Okay, Cam, this is maybe his second or third slump he's been in this season, right? I mean, he's kind of been off and on all season, even with the COVID. Correct. I know he had the COVID, but there's always one Suns player that has a rough time shooting, getting anything going. So it's like it's his turn again. He maybe thought like, oh, it'll pass me this time and I'll go to somebody else. But no, it came back to Cam Johnson because I don't know anybody else on this team. I know Dario Saric just got done with his slump. Now he's looking a little bit better. But
like a tap you're it thing.
Exactly. Now I think Cam Johnson, he's it now. And I think to get out of it is get to the rim. I know the reverse dunk, but he's been working on that more. And even Tim Kempton on the way home when I was driving home was saying, that's what Mikal improved on this year. We talked about it on the pod. That's what Mikal improved on this year. The next year, Cam will get better at that.
Yeah, I mean, he has a beautiful release. It's just not going in right now. And again, coming from my wife, somebody doesn't watch the Suns nearly as much as we do.
Call her Shannon.
Shannon.
Everyone knows her.
Yeah, so Shannon just, from the eyes of babes, she just looks at it objectively like, his sleeves, man, he must be self-conscious. I'm like, maybe he is. He's self-conscious. I'm just trying to find, obviously, a comical way to describe the fact that Cam Johnson is just not on right now. But again, hit a big three and then hit that savage dunk in overtime, ended with a total of 7 points on the game. So, and 5 rebounds as well. So, I mean, it's not the end of the world for him. If you look at other players, I definitely want to talk about Devin Booker in this game. The way that he started this game, he had 15 of the Suns' first 19 points. And you could see that he was going to operate in the paint. He's backing down. Devin Booker's excited when he sees Colin Sexton and Isaac Okoro, the guys he gets to go against, because they're just smaller than him. Because Devin Booker's not the biggest two guard in the league. No. And when he's going to be guarded by guys who are smaller than him, even though they are a little stocky, he was still backing them down, kind of doing what he wanted. Looking at his, first and foremost, congratulations to Devin Booker. Player of the week for the third time this season. Yeah. He is now tied with Stephon Marbury for the seventh or eighth total amount of player of the week selections in his career as a member of the Phoenix Suns. Do you know who has the most player of the week selections as a member of the Phoenix Suns?
Shawn Marion.
No, he has 6 and is tied for second.
Mari Stoudemire?
Nope, he also has 6 and is also tied for second.
That's the only 2 players Nash. I know, but for some reason I thought because of Nash's stats, I'm like, there's no way he won Player of the Week that much because he
7 times as a member of the Suns. You look at the guys who've done it 5 times as a member of the Phoenix Suns. It's Kevin Johnson, Jason Kidd. Guys who've done it 4 times: Charles Barkley and Larry Nance. Obviously, Stephon Marbury and Devin Booker, the 2 guys who've done it 3 times. Tom Chambers and Walter Davis both did it twice. And the guys who have done it 1 time: Goran Dragic, Dennis Johnson, Maurice Lucas, Mo Lewis from the late, whatever, from the 80s. Oliver Miller, Markieff Morrison, Elliot Perry. Elliot Perry got Player of the Week once.
That was my favorite when I was young. Yeah.
So, kudos to him. And you could tell that he came out in this game, excited that he had that award. I'm sure it's not the reason why, but I mean, he just kind of fortified the fact that he just won Player of the Week with his performance. Ended the game with a total of 31 points, 14 for 27 shooting. Not an efficient night for Booker, but I'll tell you truthfully, it didn't really feel like he shot the ball 27 times. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, and honestly, I could tell you, or I wish I could tell you that I saw him play in the first half. Unlucky for me, I came home at halftime and honestly just got to see him go for 3 in the first few minutes of the second half, and then not really finish the game out too well. I mean, he had some big shots towards the end of the game, but in the first half, from what I heard, it sounded good. It sounded like Booker was excited because of the Player of the Week, maybe. But I think more of it just has to do with getting this game over with. Just kind of putting their foot on the throat of the Cavs. And that's what he was trying to do, right? Him and Chris Paul. And I think Ayton kind of stepped up a little bit in the beginning. But that was what Booker, I think, looked to do. And shout out to his Mamacito wear, too. The sweats. Those are pretty nice. Nice. That looked pretty good this week, man.
Well, the one thing you didn't miss was the glitching Bally Sports in the first half. I mean,
was it bad?
This transition, it's just all of a sudden just like, I don't know. I can't describe it. It was like, what's that one song? Remember Justice League? What's the song? It's like, watch it.
You know, Justice League is one of the worst movies, so I can't remember.
We saw it in the theater together.
Did we?
Yeah, we saw that one in the theater together.
Oh,
right?
I thought I was making out in that movie with somebody. Was it you?
No, I was 3 sheets down, but I don't know. You were smashing on some popcorn. But it's just like every time I forget the name of the song, it's like, God,
oh yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that was Suicide Squad.
Yeah, Suicide Squad, not Justice League. Suicide Squad.
Okay. So you're talking about
watch it.
Ribbit, watch it.
Yeah, that's what like the TV would do. Like you'd be watching, it's like Devin Booker for watch it. You know, it's just like good old freaking Bally Sports. The transition has not been smooth, and you're lucky you didn't have to watch that first half because it was just really glitchy. And then people who are watching it via the app, I hear it was even worse. Yeah, Heathens.
Yeah,
yes,
Heathens. And what's the name of the 21 Pilots?
21 Pilots. Yes.
Yeah. God,
we come full.
How do
service.
I not know that, man? Okay.
Yes, thank you to Crazy Luigi hitting us up and riding the ship as I'm sitting here just drinking some G on.
You won John's new Jordans. Congrats.
That's what you win. No, it's like, but you know, it wasn't fun watching it from that aspect. But one thing that was fun to watch, and I always have to compliment it, for those of you who are new to the podcast, we do a thing called the Jammies. It's like our preseason, midseason, and end of year awards. And one of the ones we have is the Jesse Katsopoulos Award for the best hair in the league.
Yeah.
And whenever I see Jared Allen, like there's a reason why he won it last year for me, was my preseason jammy winner. And like I've changed it midseason, but like it'll probably be Jared Allen again. I love his hair. He had a nice night again, 17 points, 7 for 11, 8 rebounds, 5 assists for the Cleveland Cavaliers. And truthfully, through the first half, he was owning DeAndre Ayton, man.
Oh, was he? Just really quick on his hair, though. I feel like it's even gone up another notch. He just doesn't care. That fro is not really very tame, is it? It looks really good, man. I like how it's kind of crazy at the ends. Usually you don't see that too much. I don't feel like I've seen that too much from him. So it's a little bit of a wild fro, man. And he looks badass. But for him to take on DeAndre and be a problem, that's something that I would expect. That's one guy that DeAndre, when he goes up against, I do expect that. A lot of these guys, I'm like, come on, DeAndre. It doesn't matter who you're playing against. But he's the one. He's the one where we talked about, I mean, I'm sure I mentioned it when we're talking about the trades and stuff and Ayton, who could we get for him? And we kind of scratch our heads with Jared Allen just because of how consistent he is and knowing his place on the floor. It might be a good fit for a playoff run and a championship, but he's very, very talented. And EJ even pointed out his little shot he has. If he gets that to go down, totally true, man. If he can be deadly on offense, he's going to be one of the best centers in the league. He's still very young.
He is very young, and he's on a nice contract right now. And I think that's, again, he's somebody that we're both a fan of, but I'm not a fan of when he goes up against DeAndre Ayton because he does give him fits.
Ayton Watch 2021.
And that's how the first half went tonight. DeAndre Ayton once again carried over some of that OKC energy, if you will, or lack thereof. It didn't look very engaged early on, and he was definitely outplaying and outthinking him. Jared Allen was. And couple that with the fact that DeAndre had some very bad bounce passes. And, normally he's a good laser passer. He does have a little Cam Newton quality on that. It's like he gets the rebound, turns around, just chucks it at somebody. And like Cam Newton will do that shit if the running back's 5 yards away or if the guy's 20 yards down the field, he'll just throw a duck that goes right in
their helmet.
Yeah. Boom. They're like, dude, I'm right here. Lob it to me,
Yeah.
So, but to that point, DeAndre Ayton is an effective passer because he hits the guys, boom, right in the hands. But he was trying these bounce passes tonight, one to Mikal and one to Booker, and he throws them too hard, just they bounce and ricochet and go right out of bounds. So twice he did that in the first half, and I was like, oh no, obviously I have a little section in my notes where I write down things about Ayton Watch. I'm like, man, we're gonna have a tough time talking about DA because he just didn't look like he had it. And then he came alive in the second half. He had a savage block on Isaac Okoro. And he had another one on Colin Sexton, too. He ends the night, with a total of 5 blocks. And I like it because they gave him all the 5 blocks. He earned every one of those blocks. The overtime, he had 3 more, man.
Yeah, him and Mikal had 3 together, right?
Yeah,
their hand were both on the ball at the same time. I feel
they were having a get that shit out of here clinic in overtime tonight.
So what was the deal? I know first half I missed most. So I was listening to and I heard the bounce passes by John Bloom speaking about just turning the ball over with a pass. So that must have been a bounce pass there. But what was the deal with Kaminsky was in at the end of the game, replacing Ayton. I mean, Ayton looked like he had a hard time. I know last game I talked about his switching on defense in the paint wasn't the greatest, and I feel like tonight it was kind of the same. It was kind of just he was lethargic in a way to he was going towards Colin Sexton at a certain time, and they couldn't turn around in time to get whoever was on the other side receiving the pass. And that continued to happen a lot. I mean, I don't feel like we used to see this earlier in the season, but then Frank was in there the last play against the Cavs, and I don't know what that was, dude. But
I think he was in there the last play offensively because he is somebody who can be a spot up shooter and potentially make a shot that, he's more of an offensive player than DA is at times, given what you're trying to execute. I don't think it's a good idea. I think you put DA in there because he is so good at getting the offensive rebounds and putting them back up. I mean, he had 9 rebounds tonight. 4 of them were offensive. But I don't really know kind of what the game plan was there at the end of the game. But he did have a hard time, and he does have a hard time, like most bigs do, on these small, quick guards. I mean, Colin Sexton is unbelievably fast. He's not De'Aaron Fox fast, but he's definitely up there as like one of these guys who's just going to bolt towards the rim. And I'll talk about it a little bit in SB Nation Says as I was monitoring the Cleveland Cavaliers site, but a lot of the Cleveland fans don't like it because it's kind of out of control. But it is an aspect of his game that makes it harder for DeAndre Ayton to defend. And that's any big in the league, but he timed it up. He started to time it up at the end of the game, and it took him about 3 quarters to really realize, like, okay, I can let this guy get past me a little bit because I know he's just going to try to create contact and fall away. And when he does that, I'm swatting that shit.
Yeah. And honestly, Sexton, a Capricorn, usually us Capricorns, we're very caring about
others. That
because I looked it up. I look up a lot of, I try to watch basketball players and I try to guess when they're born, what month they're born in. And I guessed right on him. He was one. I don't know how, but I did. He's in January. So he is a guy he's very sharing. He seems like he should be sharing, but what I heard, I don't know if you were listening to, Ryan Russillo made a comment on one of the pods, how the other players on the Cavs, for some reason, like he had some assists tonight. I think he had 7 or 8 tonight at the look, but usually what the defense will say against the Cavs is like, you're not gonna get the ball. Colin Sexton has it. So he is kind of like what he was compared to coming out of the draft, like an Eric Bledsoe, right? Quick, kind of not out of control really as much. I think more because he's young, he's that way, but just a guy who's not going to be the best passer. He's going to look to score first, and he'll have a game like tonight. I think tonight for him and Okoro were both career highs, right, in points. Was that correct? I heard that on the podcast.
Isaac Okoro had a career high in points.
Okay, I thought I heard that Sexton did too, which I wouldn't be surprised, honestly.
No, I feel like he's put up a close to a 50 burger before too. Because he shoots so much. And again, looking at what some Cavs folks were saying, they pretty much said there's every time Colin Sexton has the ball, one of 3 things are going to happen. He's going to turn the ball over, he's going to try to create a foul, or he's going to, but no matter what, he will shoot it, and he scored 42 points earlier this season. So that was his career high.
Okay. But, so I think honestly, this team, the Cavs, they had a chance, I really think, to take over with 3-point shooting. And I feel like they didn't get as many attempts as they should have gotten, because I think a lot of these players on the team were kind of hot from 3. So keep feeding those guys. They might have taken over the game and won, because it looked like there was just one of those nights the Suns were playing a team that just couldn't miss from 3. But luckily they weren't shooting it too much. And, it's a lot to do with Sexton. I don't think sharing the ball too much.
Well, exactly. And again, it's what pisses off Cavs fans. But real quick, back to Ayton, just to finish up kind of a couple notes I had on him. His shot deterrence, offensive boards, and putbacks were really positive in the third. He'd be somebody who's really good at tips in 21. You ever play 21? You know what tips are?
Tips. You tip a bin, or
you have to jump up and do a putback, and it zeros out somebody's points. Ayton would be great at that. Like, that's what he does on offensive boards. Like, he doesn't try to get the ball, bring it down as much as he used to. He gets the ball, just puts it right back up, and sometimes it goes in, or a lot of time it goes in. Sometimes it goes out. But kudos to him on sticking with it tonight. Had a dominant fourth quarter and overtime. Not necessarily offensively. Again, he ended with a total of 17 points. But he did was it 17 for? No, 15 for him, 7 of 11 shooting. But the 5 blocks is just like, whoo-wee, man. That's exactly what you want to see from DeAndre freaking Ayton, man.
Yeah, and I heard you on the podcast today, Locked On Suns, really good pod. You guys are actually talking about Ayton and just, you said, and I think you said it earlier too, and I just want to touch on him being, really just focus on defense, being a really solid defensive player. But you can see, like, offensively, when he comes alive in the third, how it sparks everybody. But I think tonight in the third, what happened is the teammates helped him get more involved. They were really looking for him, inspiring him. Someone put on Twitter after Chris Paul got hit on the shoulder, which should have thrown Sexton out of the game. He got more involved. It got more juiced, and I think that's what happened. But I think for the Suns to be contenders, I really think we have to emphasize that he needs to be somewhat good on offense. And the 15, 16, 17 points, that's a lot for DeAndre just because he doesn't get to the line. He doesn't shoot the three. If he goes 9 for 10, that's 18 points. It doesn't look that great, but it's so efficient. That's where I want DeAndre to be. I don't want him to score 30, 35 points because
we don't need him to. But we don't need him to.
He can't right now, though. But he can't. He can't get 30.
But he could if he got the shot opportunities. He doesn't get the shot opportunities. He doesn't take the shot opportunities.
Game, though.
He doesn't take 20 shots a game.
That's what I'm saying. He doesn't have to.
Exactly. If he shot 20 points a game, he would average 30 points because of his efficiency. But he doesn't need to on this offense. They want him, and Chris Paul and Monty Williams and the coaching staff says, we need you on defense. We're going to work into the offense. Obviously, you're going to clean up the garbage at the rim, but you're not Joel Embiid. You're not Nikola Jokic. You're not a center who is going to be the focal point of this entire offense. You are a tertiary option. And that's what he was, tonight. He ended up being the fourth-ary, quintarian. I don't know English, but he was the fourth option essentially tonight, because Mikal Bridges had a great night, and that's what you want. DeAndre Ayton ended with 15 points. That was the fourth highest total on the Phoenix Suns tonight, and that's okay because of the 5 blocks. That's what you want to be, and that's the point I was making on the Locked On Phoenix Suns podcast with Brendan Clean. Was he asked the question? He's like, a lot of people say that DeAndre Ayton needs to be the X factor in the playoffs for the Suns. And I go, he needs to be the X factor on one side of the ball. If he has a great offensive night, like, we're going to win. If he has a great defensive night, we're going to win. If we have games like Oklahoma City where he's pretty much disengaged, those will bite us in the ass. So he doesn't need to be the elite, carry us to a playoff or to a championship yet, maybe later in his career. But this season, the way that this team is built, as long as he is elite on one side of the ball, I'm comfortable with that. I'm happy with that.
So if he doesn't show up on offense at all, like if he doesn't put in the effort, because all he has to do is put in effort.
Well, that's the difference. Yeah,
that's it.
All he's got to do is put up the effort
there. Yeah, and I think he is the X factor all the way around because we see it in games, but there's so many examples this season where he hasn't really performed offense. Of course, we still won. Look at our record. But I'm just saying the games that he is just putting in an effort on the offensive glass, which is that's his best offensive game, the offensive glass. That is what you just talked about. Yes. But that's what I love to see him down there, because a few games this year where he wasn't doing it, it's like, what is he doing? Because he has the opportunity to have those putbacks go in easily. So I think he is definitely the X factor, but not in the way of like, let's just give him the ball the whole time. I'm just saying if he's efficient and just looking for the ball, just being a part of the offense, that way he can take a lot of pressure off the other guys. That's Precisely. The X factor on offense.
Agreed. And that's all we need him to be this season. And it's proven to be successful. Again, this team's 48 and 18 and, is probably going to end up with 50 wins in a 72 game season. Like, it's pretty impressive. And one of the main reasons for that is Chris Paul taking over in the second quarter when the rest of the offense appeared stagnant. When the moment he left in the second quarter, the Cavs came right back in it and had an 8-0 run. They bring Chris Paul back. It's a 16-6 run to end the first half. And he survived a Colin Sexton karate chop tonight. So, I'm impressed that he survived the judo chop. What'd you see on that play?
I saw he should have been thrown out of the game. He seriously took a whack at his head. That was just a frustration foul, but honestly, it was.
Do you think because Chris Paul popped up so quick that they didn't throw him out? Because I felt if he had sat on the ground for just a split second more, like Colin Sexton's ass would have been gone.
Instead of getting up and telling on him right away, like, hey, go look at that. Because I think it was funny that Chris Paul did that, but I think he just wanted to make sure that they can take a look at the replay, because that was a blatant, just a throw in the arm, try to knock him out, because I'm frustrated I didn't make the shot. And plus, he's right on my back, and on the second chance, he couldn't make it. So he's a frustrated player getting or coming down off of the offensive rebound. That is honestly, that's a shot that should not have been taken. He should have been thrown out. I know usually it's like in this NBA, you can't really touch anybody, but that was really nasty, dude. I think it could have been worse. What if he would have hit him right in the eye, an eye contusion or something? Who knows? You don't want that on this team, dude. But honestly,
no,
you don't want that. And I think Chris Paul, even tonight, just his passing though was really amazing tonight. He was whipping those things around the defenders, double team, getting it to Ayton and even Frank Kaminsky a few times. So he looked exceptional passing wise tonight.
A quick correction, Jen Sam says in the chat, 47 and 18.
Are you sure?
Tomorrow will be 48 and 18. No, that's correct.
How do
that's
we not know the record?
I said it earlier, then you said 48, so I just went with that. But I should have trusted myself but anyways, you're absolutely right. Chris Paul, the way he was passing the ball tonight, 23 points on 8 of 16 shooting, so 50% from the field, 6 rebounds, 16 assists for the point guard, 16 assists. He was again. Every time the Suns would find themselves in some sort of frustrating situation or it wasn't clicking, like Kellen Olson, okay? So he's a writer / podcaster for ArizonaSports.com. He tweeted this out. He said, having having Chris Paul to bail you out of a lackadaisical performance on a Tuesday in Cleveland is a luxury, I'll tell you. It's the truth. He bailed us out time and time again in this game when the Suns would hit a lull offensively or defensively because, Devin Booker was missing a lot of shots. Mikal, like we said, was very, very passive. Javon, very passive. DA, very passive tonight. And he was the one who ultimately set the team up, and he did it so beautifully, too. There was one play where he goes down, Jared Allen's kind of guarding him on 3, and he just kind of stops and let Jared Allen it was a transition. Just let Jared Allen kind of go by. Jared Allen realized, I got to guard this guy. Once he does that, he passes it right behind him to Mikal Bridges. The next play, he comes down, and the same thing kind of happens, and Jared Allen slags off, and he just puts a 3 up right in his face. It's just like the fact that he can do these things consistently. I'm never not amazed by the performances that Chris Paul puts on. I'm so lucky and honored that we finally get to root for him after all these years of hating him.
I know it goes out the window. And when he got punched in the face, I think we were in the bar cheering because we didn't like Chris Paul at the time. I'm sorry to admit that. I'm a Suns fan. There's, I hate Dylan Brooks.
Yeah, I know. One day if he's a Sun, it's going to be tough for me to swallow. Exactly. But if he comes out and does the things that Chris Paul does, I will absolutely accept him.
No,
until then, fuck that guy.
Yeah, I know. And honestly, tonight, when you look at Chris Paul, there was a play in the fourth quarter where he drew a foul on Sexton, but it wasn't a shot. It was just like an extra foul to get in the bonus. And it might have been Kellen Olson or one of the reporters for the Suns, or even a writer that tweeted out that, one thing to look at Chris Paul is he wants to get the team in the bonus. He'll draw fouls, get to that in the late game situations because that's very crucial. And Chris Paul, after drawing the foul, threw up his hand. I don't know if he threw up 3 or 4 or the West Side sign or something, but he was just like, that's the 4th or 3rd foul. So we're almost to the bonus. And I think that's just a smart
cerebral.
He thinks what you get from him, man. We don't win this game. We don't win a lot of these games, obviously, without Chris Paul. In like the MVP case, it can be made that way. I'm sure Jokic is going to win, but these kind of games, we do not win. When the momentum is taken from this team, Chris Paul is the only guy that can really get us back in. He's the only one that's, of course, he's a grown-up, but the mature player on the court to get our heads back in it and then get the rest of the team back in the game to finish it.
Yeah, he's so unbelievably cerebral, and it almost takes, a second after everything happens, you go, oh, Chris Paul is playing chess while they're playing checkers. And I know that that Bill Simmons and Ryan Russillo, who went on a beautiful CP3 rant on the latest Bill Simmons podcast, they were talking about that. They were talking about the play that we referenced in the Utah game in which Jordan Clarkson was being D'd up by DA, and he did a fantastic job on it. And the very next play in transition following that, he made it a point to get DeAndre Ayton the ball. He's rewarding his big man for his effort on the other side of the court. Not a lot of guys will do that. They'll sit back and knock that down the 3 or hit a guy over the 3-point line and give them an opportunity because it's the modern NBA instead of feeding the big guy who just did a lot of effort to ensure that possession was stopped. And that's the cerebralness of CP3 that you have to appreciate. It's like, I've referenced this before, but growing up here, going and seeing both Kurt Schilling and Randy Johnson pitch for the Arizona Diamondbacks, it was just a completely different experience. And I went as much as I can because I knew I was watching absolute greatness. And we know as Phoenix Suns fans here, it's been a long time since we've had true greatness here. Devin Booker's great, and he's on his way to greatness. He is, and he's going to be picking up all these little things that CP3 is throwing down. But we're watching a Hall of Famer right in front of us, and it's these little things that he does that equate to victories. And, it kept us in the game, gave us an opportunity to build a lead. The defense didn't hold at the end, but ultimately we win in overtime because the Cleveland Cavaliers had to use all their energy to get back in this game, and we smoked them. We scored 20 points in overtime. 20 points in 5 minutes. The Cleveland Cavaliers scored 4. We win by 16.
Exactly. And that spreads to the other team, the teammates. What Chris Paul does to reward players. He did that to Ayton in the third quarter, but you saw with Booker, even getting Bridges the ball after blocks down on the other side. Like, that was not just Booker, it's everybody. It's like, find the man and reward him. That thing spreads. It's not TJ Warren anymore bringing the ball up and just getting his shot, getting to his spot, wasting 48 seconds out of the shot clock.
Real quick.
There you go.
I'm going to go ahead and dish out
The Jack Taylor Award for the guy who comes out of nowhere and scores a shit ton of points on you.
You want to give this one to Isaac Okoro, but I know who Isaac Okoro is. I was a fan of his in the draft. I knew that he would go too high for the Phoenix Suns, but he's a guy who I would have been okay if he fell down to Phoenix, so definitely aware of him. This Cedi Osman guy.
Yeah.
Cedi Osman. Now, a reminder, the Cleveland Cavaliers are currently 29th in the NBA in 3-point percentage, okay? They shoot 33.8% from deep this year. Tonight, they shot 44.8%, and they were led by this Cedi Osman guy, okay? Now, granted, he shot 5 for 14 overall from the field, 16 total points. So not an efficient night for one of the Osman brothers over there. But 4 for 6 downtown, this guy. 4 for 6. 5 shots. Yeah. He made 5 shots. 4 of them were for deep. And I was just like, he was the guy who's kind of keeping them in it. The team overall, the Cleveland Cavaliers, just kind of kept hitting the threes. They hit a total of 13 in the game.
Yeah.
They were hitting those timely threes led by old Cedi there. So I'm going to give him the Jack Taylor Award tonight.
As soon as you brought up the award, I brought his name up to look up his stats, because this is exactly what I was thinking of. When I was saying the Cavs were getting hot from 3, it was him. Feed him the ball. That's what they should have done for 3. And honestly, like, with the last 5 games, he's 2 for 7, 2 for 7, 1 for 5, 2 for 7. Tonight, 4 for 6. It could have been like a 6 for 10 or 7 for 11 game for him if they would have kept feeding him. But
Colin Sexton doesn't do that.
No, they didn't. And there was one play where he's like waving his arms, and then Sexton threw it way too late, and it got tipped by Cam Johnson. A beautiful pass by Johnson and Mikal for the layup or the dunk, whatever it was.
Is there anything I missed from you? Any notes you want to throw out there before I go to the next segment?
We covered a lot.
Well, how about this one?
SB Nation says.
All right, so I spent the night hanging out on the SB Nation site for the Cleveland Cavaliers. It is Fear the Sword. That's the name of their site. We're Bright Side of the Sun.
Schwad?
The Schwad. It's like Sean Connery. Your mother, Trebek. But Fear, because he the one with S words, he's like, I'll take Schwartz for 500, Alex. But it's Fear the Sword is the name of the SB Nation site for the Cleveland Cavaliers. And here's some of the things that they were saying. And I couldn't tell if they were being facetious or serious with these first set of comments. The first one was, all Devin Booker does is score. I don't know what Phoenix sees in him. Just looking for his own shot right now. Crazy tunnel vision. Heard his teammates hate playing with him. I mean, why wouldn't you? Guy thinks it's all about numbers. So that's clearly not a proper depiction of Devin Booker and the way that he approaches the game. And then I posted that on Twitter, and then somebody said, hey, they're being facetious because that's the way that everybody nationally is talking about Colin Sexton. And so if you essentially go, okay, instead of saying Devin Booker, say Colin Sexton. All Colin Sexton does is score. I don't know what Cleveland sees in him. Just looking for his own shot right now. Crazy tunnel vision. Heard his teammates hate playing with him, which is one of the national narrative things right now. I mean, why wouldn't you? The guy thinks it's all about numbers. So, but then there was some talk a little bit later on relative to that, and they were just pretty much talking about how, Devin Booker is somebody who doesn't look like he's very fun to play with. And I'm like, you guys know what you're talking about.
You know what? If I was watching the Suns, I might say the same thing, because we say the same thing about Jason Tatum a lot, to where,
yes,
you know what I mean? And then if you're a Celtics fan, all you do is love Jason Tatum. So I think that's the way it is. And honestly, did you see any Kendall Jenner comments in there?
Nope.
I'm pretty sure. Oh, well, then they don't even know the real Booker.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, you're not even
throw Kendall
Jenner. Talking about Booker, you're not even talking about Kendall Jenner. Like, what do you really know?
Yeah, I know. And dude, honestly, that's what Book is this year. He's a scorer, man. He's not really a playmaker the way he was or trying to be 2 years ago, of course, but he doesn't need to be. He's playing at an MVP level, All-Star level. I'm sorry, not MVP level. But that's the way he is this year. He's a superstar now, and this is the way he plays, man. This is the most efficient way he can play the game and help us win. So I'll take that.
It's like Iverson Vlog says in the chat. He's like, they're just salty, which is correct.
They don't even know our existence. They're on their own planet
they don't watch the Suns. But they did have one comment about Kevin Love, and I wanted to bring this up. They said, it's difficult to watch a guy like Kevin Love play for us when he clearly doesn't want to be here. A difficult situation all around because his trade value has diminished to almost nothing, and his $30 million a year contract has 2 more years. I certainly don't feel bad for him, though. Bad for the Cavs organization, yes. How many people in the workforce don't want to be at their jobs every day, yet suck it up to continue to support their families? There you go. There's the Kevin Love experience right there.
Yeah, it sucked. I mean, he was excited for Okoro. He was giving him like a little massage on the cramp, dude.
Yeah,
so I like that from him. That was fun to watch.
And they obviously were going off a lot about They were obviously going off a lot about Isaac Okoro and how impressed they were tonight. Obviously, it was a career night for him, so they were just like, "Wow, this is impressive." So there you go. There's your SB Nation says.
Beautiful.
That segment is now complete.
Jam Star of the Game.
All right, Jamsters, a reminder, if you're watching on YouTube, press the subscribe button and press that thumbs up button right now. Let all the other Phoenix Suns fans know where to come to get the best quality content on the interwebs right here, the Suns Jam Session podcast. Because if apparently thumbs up, bring people here. So that's the way it goes. If you are watching along live, please let us know who your Jam Star of the Game is. Matthew, I believe I let you go first last game, correct?
Yeah.
So I have to go first this game. It's tough because you have Booker, 31 points, obviously, but kind of inefficient. I mean, he led the charge. It's almost like you have 3 different Jam Stars. It was like Booker, mid-game Chris Paul, Mikal Bridges OT.
Yeah.
Who are you going to say? Just tell me real quick so I can say the other one.
I'm going to say Mikal, dude.
All right, cool. I'm going to go with Chris Paul, 23 points, 16 assists.
Booker.
As one of the Jam Stars, or one of the Jamsters pointed out in the chat, our Jam Star, Chris Paul, had 16 assists and 0 turnovers. Unbelievable night again for him. He carried this team when they didn't want to be carried at times. So he gets my Jam Star of the game. Matthew, are you going to do Mikal Bridges?
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with Mikal Bridges. Honestly, I would have given it to Chris Paul. I would have, but for sure because of the assists. But he didn't reach 24 like Russell Westbrook last night. So how can you reward a man not getting 24?
Russell Westbrook,
or 24 assists in one game. So I'm going to go with Mikal because I think that is the most outstanding stretch of play from one player I've seen.
It was just dominant on both sides.
Yeah, and honestly, it's like any other player, even if that was Booker, it's like he would miss one of those threes, but Mikal didn't miss. I mean, he went 3 for 4 in the overtime, but I'm just saying, dude, usually a player that hot will miss at least one of those shots to go in to kind of like be like one of those, oh shit, and everyone starts running around taking laps. But no, they kept going in, the blocks kept coming. So for that stretch of play, he's the Jam Star of the game.
Well, you look at his overall performance on the night, 22 points, 4 for 6 from downtown, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals, 3 blocks. So if you do the stocks, he had 6 total stocks tonight, as did DA. Okay. He had 5 blocks, 1 steal. But I mean, you can't go wrong with them. Grim Ripa says number 25, baby. It's got to be Mikal from the Legend X, the real Legend X. CP3 from Kenneth Payne. The Boogie Trend says Chris Paul, Book, and Mikal. CP3 and Mikal for Iverson Vlogs. Let's see. Keeps on going. Cam Johnson's dunk. Yeah, I like that. That was a good one. You know, that was a Jam Star moment for sure. Mikal set the tempo. Alex also says Cam Johnson's reverse dunk. Mikal from Kenny Perry. 2 blocks for Chris Paul tonight. I didn't see that in the stat lines. God, he did everything tonight. Yeah, he's definitely my Jam Star. So pack this one up. It's over. It's on. I hit the wrong button. It's on to Atlanta for the next game.
Guess what?
All right, Matthew. So this game,
yes.
You know, I asked you one question before we came in here. I said, did you update everything? Suns or Jazz?
Oh, it's down there.
Suns or Hawks? Well, who wins this game? We were going to do who wins. I got to update this to say Suns or Cavs.
Suns or Hawks right there.
Oh, but you start with this one. Who wins this one? Suns or Cavs? Matthew, you said?
Suns.
And I said?
Suns.
All right. So I'm 30-19 on this season. Matthew's 33-16. Up next, we have the Hawks on Tuesday. Matthew, tell me what you thinking about them pesky Hawks there.
You know what? Not too much. I don't know too much about them. I'm just going to be blatantly honest right now. I know they're really soaring right there in the middle of the standings right now in the East. That's all I know, really. I've been watching more of the New York Knicks and the Hawks. So give me your take, because I'm not going to blindly just rant some bullshit out there for the Jamsters to go home and be like, no, he said this on the pod. This is what I got to look for in this game, because honestly, whatever I say right now is going to be bullshit.
Tell me this.
Is that
What
live?
what what division do they play in?
The Atlantic.
Yeah, see, I don't even know what the division names are in the Eastern Conference. Hell, I barely even know them in ours.
Atlantic,
But
right?
they're currently first in the Southeast Division with a record of 36-30. Okay, they're a team that has been playing somewhat. They've been playing well. They've lost 6 games in their last 10 games, something like that, 10, 20. Again, I don't know much about the Hawks either. I do see them on time to time. I was watching a little bit of them last night. Was it last night or 2 nights ago? I was watching a little bit of them. They're a team that, obviously they're led by Trae Young and his usage. He has 25 points a game, 9.4 assists a game. He's definitely somebody who can get hot from three. Obviously the thing that frustrates me about him is his free throw attempts a game is nearly 9 a game. Just somebody who likes to do the head bobbing. But they're a team that obviously the Suns can beat. That's without doubt. There's a team that Suns can beat, but they're a team that is playing for a lot right now. You look at the NBA standings, they find themselves right there, as you mentioned. They're right there in the middle with everybody else, and they're probably doing everything they can to position themselves to have the same thing as the Suns, like a nice run to the finals. They're the 5th seed, so currently they would be playing the 4th seed in New York Knicks, and truthfully, that's a series that I would really enjoy watching, wouldn't you?
Yeah. No, I definitely would. Someone was asking if Trae Young's actually playing. He was out for, I think, 3 games. Or 4 games. They went 2-2. But yeah, he's back. They won 2 in a row.
He's back since he's been back.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about the West standings, and every matchup would be great to watch. In the East, it's the same way, right? I feel like there's a lot of competition out there. You got the Wizards coming in at number 10 right now. That's
Milwaukee versus the Heat is currently the 3-6 matchup, and man, I would thoroughly enjoy that one.
Is it weird though? The Heat, I'm not too into anymore. I just feel like their success in the bubble. I'm not saying it's not going to carry on until next season, but they're just hitting a dip. Tyler Hero, I don't know. We can go on a tangent, but never mind. I'm just saying
their role players aren't nearly as effective as they were in the bubble last year. That's for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
So, obviously, when we play the Hawks, I'm concerned because you go against Trae Young, who's a guy who can get hot at any time. Mikal Bridges, if he does DM up, he's another one of those guys he's going to have a hard time with because he can blow right by him. And don't get me wrong, Mikal's a great defender and can make up a lot of ground on those smaller guards, but he has a hard time with the shifty guys. And Trae Young's one of those shifty guys. I almost want to say, hey, put Chris Paul on him and see how that works. Javon. Seriously, Javon could get into. He'll be all in his shorts with the man. So
yeah. So we'll see how it goes.
Well,
it's terrible coverage by me.
Well, who's going to win, Matthew?
That's how it goes. You know what? I think I saw someone in the comments say that Suns aren't going to come out and play hot, but I think after this game, they're definitely going to roll over the Hawks. I think they're going to crush them.
Okay,
honestly.
So you're saying the Hawks in this one. We have 7 games to go. I'm going Hawks on this one.
Well, I said Suns.
I know, so I'm going Hawks. I think this is an opportunity where I could catch you. I don't want to catch you because you said Suns, but if we do lose, the one byproduct, the one little thing I can be happy about is the fact that I got that one right. So,
all right.
Anything else you want to talk about on this edition of the Suns Jam Session podcast? Real quick, Torrey Craig.
Yeah.
That guy like Jordan reincarnated. You notice how like every time he goes to the basket, he does the up and under?
I told you that one movie he had.
Well, he did it like twice today. He's like,
But that first one where he went, he does it all the time. He's so smooth around there, dude. Yeah, the juice is awesome. What else do I have though? Is the telecast last night, the telecast from ESPN on ESPN2. This
Lakers?
Is why you lose. No. They were doing the Avengers game where it was like we're watching the basketball game. It was the Pelicans versus the Warriors.
Okay.
And it was like a Marvel series thing. And they had like whoever can win or whoever has the most superhero points or something. I didn't watch the whole thing, but it's for like my nephew Eric, who will watch if he's getting into basketball, but they have the Marvel theme on there to help them. It's a very cartoonish.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was kind of cool. I don't think a lot of people gave it shit. I think it's something that, little kids can kind of get into. They have like the Black Panther pop down in the stands and start watching like just little things like that. So it's all about Marvel. Even the halftime show, it's a new set. All they do is talk about superhero wise how this game is going.
So it's kind of like what the NFL did with Nickelodeon, where they try to make the
exactly
game
the same thing. Yes,
but they do it with Marvel because it's Disney. That makes sense. I guess that would make sense. It'd be fun for little kids because like no kid can say Giannis Antetokounmpo, but they can be like, oh, Captain America.
There you go. Yeah, that's a way to get them in there. So,
was it a game that was live or was it a game that was pre-recorded?
It was live.
Really? How did I not see that last night?
It had to been live. I don't think it was pre-recorded.
Well, I don't know. Well, I think on that note, let's get out of here. All right. So remember, Jamsters, if you're watching along live, we appreciate it. If you're listening along, not live, but tomorrow or later today, we appreciate it as well. Go ahead, subscribe, rate, review, hit all the thumbs ups buttons, do all that fun stuff. If you get a chance, listen to me. I was on the Locked On Phoenix Suns podcast with Brendan Clean, and I kind of threw out some of my LeBron conspiracy theories that I haven't even said on this podcast, which I was going to bring up tonight, but we talked so much.
Making these 2-hour podcasts, dude.
Seriously, man, because I could talk. I have a whole like tangent I started on with LeBron, but I'm like, I didn't want to go too deep with Brendan.
I heard it, and I was like, you didn't get to most of it. So
yeah, I'm like, I didn't want to scare Brendan away. He's like, I'm never having that crazy son of a bitch on my podcast again.
You're like, hold on, let me take this pod over really quick.
Yeah. He's like, anything else? I'm like, dude, LeBron, I swear, he's saying all this bullshit because he wants us to believe how hard it is, and he's going to come out healthy and just like run through the West and be like, see, another hard one, man. I had to do it as a 7 seed, So, anyways, no, you can't do that on Locked On. That's right here for the Jamsters on the Suns Jam Session podcast. So we'll get into that tomorrow night after the Atlanta Hawks game. So on that note, again, cheers everybody. Have a great night. We'll see you right here tomorrow.
Yeah, everyone have a good night. And who painted that mural behind Voida? Voida did. I did. Yeah.
And what sucks is I'm always sitting right here, so you don't get to see it in its entirety. Yeah. Because you got like Steve Nash. Like you don't get to see Steve Nash or Charles Barkley. He's always right behind me. So yes, I painted that in my garage.
Yeah.
Yes,
just go buy it.
I do have prints. If you want anything, it's all on our Redbubble page. Actually, the link is below in the podcast to that art on Redbubble. You get it on a coffee mug. Matthew has it on a big shower curtain. So every time he's taking a crap or he's taking a shower, Sean Marion's looking away. You notice how Sean's looking away? He's like, I don't want to see that shit.
I cut a hole in one of their mouths. We'll find out. But anyway, go home and love your family.
How are they supposed to after